Hello and welcome to a special edition of Frost Over the World from, as you can see, behind me and around me, the city of New York. This is a time of year when nations from all over the globe gather here for the General Assembly of the UN. And we've taken the opportunity to call upon some of the biggest names from the, on the one hand, underreported, but on the other hand, strategically vital continent of South America. In the course of this program, we'll be talking to presidents from three key countries in South America: Chile, and in addition to that, Bolivia, and the biggest of all three, Colombia. All of that in the course of this program. But we begin our South American tour with Chile. Ever since the ousting of General Pinochet, Chile has been governed by a soft-left coalition, the Concertación. In December 2005, the country elected Michelle Bachelet president for a 4-year term, which expires in just 6 months' time. So Chile faces a new election in December, and Michelle Bachelet cannot stand again. A perfect moment then to ask her to look back and forward, and to begin with the subject of General Pinochet. President Bachelet, what was it like in the days of Pinochet in your homeland?
Well, on the first moment, it was like unbelievable. We thought we were like the British of Latin America, the Switzerland of Latin America. We never imagined a coup d'etat in our country. So it was very strong from the political point of view. But of course, the lack of liberties, of freedom, the lack of possibility of expressing yourself. So many friends and family detained, disappeared, executed. I mean, the first years was a lot of repression, and a lot of people were in jail and having a real bad time. So I have, of course, these sad memories of those times.
Oh, yes, because your father died
as
a result, was killed as a result of
my father was
so
taken into prison because they, accused them of a lot of foolish things, and they tortured him, so he died of a heart attack because of the torture. And afterwards, my mother and me got into jail too, into these places where you disappear, and then we were expelled from the country.
And the papers, the story says that you were both tortured as well.
Well, everybody who went to those places did not have a good time, I can say. Yeah. It was not my situation was not the worst, but it was not a good situation, I can tell you. But anyway, I think that this sort of experience, if we talk of today's, and of the things we have been doing. We are doing as much as possible to take care of the democracy we have been able to build in our country.
And do you think that democracy is now embedded in Chile, is safe now, whatever the result of the next election?
I think so, because we have been, even though I think some people have learned more the lesson than others, as always happens in any country, not only the ones who were victims learned the lesson, but also people who were our political adversaries learned the lesson that it's a tragedy in a country when you lose national cohesion and you start looking your political adversary as political enemies, as enemies. And I think we all learned the lesson. The armed forces learned the lessons also, because they were pushed by the opposition to Salvador Allende's government. But afterwards, they had to go into jail. They had to face the consequences. So I think we all have learned that even though democracy is not a perfect system, and it has also need to be perfected, it is the best system.
But in fact, when you'd been abroad in exile in Australia and East Germany and so on, when you came back to Chile in '79, that was a very brave thing to do, wasn't it? Because Pinochet was still there. How could you feel safe that he wouldn't arrest you again? 10 years more of Pinochet.
Well, I wasn't expecting to feel safe. I just was there because I needed to be there. Because I went out because my mother was expelled. And if I remained in the country, I mean, it would be problems for her and for me. My father has died. We were the only family. My brother was in Australia. So I came back because I needed to be part of this an immense people's movement for democracy. So I knew I could get again into jail. I could be murdered as many other people were, but you know, I really believed that my place was to be in my country.
And that worked, and you were safe through that period, taking the risk and so on. And in terms of nearby, in terms of Bolivia, do you think there'll ever be a day when you're able to satisfy the desires of Bolivia to have a route to the sea, or is that impossible?
The first thing I would like to tell you is that we have been developing wonderful relationship with Evo Morales. I mean, I'm the first woman president in my country. He's the first indigenous president. So I said to him, I want you to have the best possibilities. I need to do the same. So let's work in a more wide agenda, 13 points, where the maritime point is one of them. Let's not maritimize our relationship. We have much more to do. We can help in cooperation, we can help in economical issues, and we have been working in all of that. And as I tell you, well, you know, the Treaty of 1904, they decided that we have to give access to sea. And we have been honoring this treaty. And they can pass all the wood through 2 ports that was in the treaty, and now we have added a 3rd one. And so there's no problem with goods passing. But this issue, we are continue working, and we hope we got a good solution for both countries.
And when talking about the future, when you have to lay down the sword of office, or whatever we call it, because you can't do another term, President Morales has arranged it so that he can, but you can't do another term. What are you going to do? Are you going to go back to medicine, or do you have other thoughts of what you're going to do in the next 4 years?
Well, first thing I said that some people tells me, why don't you change the constitution?
Yes.
And be re-elected because you have so high approval ratings. But the thing is that I believe that in life and in politics you have to be ethic and aesthetic. And if this is not the tradition, I would never change the constitution for myself. So having said that, in next March I will be finishing my term,
right.
And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do in the future, but I will tell you something. For personal option, I've been always working on into the public service. I've been always a public servant, and I will always be where I will be more useful. So whatever I will do, I will working for the people, with the people, and in something that my experience could be useful.
And in fact, I mean, of course, after 4 years, you were then allowed to run again for the presidency, and you might be tempted to do that.
I don't know what will happen in 4 more years in my life. Some things that we learned during the bad times in our country is that future was a very difficult concept to see. So I don't know, 4 more years is a lot of time. First of all, I want to finish the government as best as I can, and then we'll see. I have a big debt with my family, you know.
Yeah, to make up for that.
Yeah, I have to pay the debt. But also I will have. We'll see. But really, it's not today in my thoughts. Today, I'm concerned with a good government.
And one last question. It's a very enjoyable conversation. This is. But do you think, so far, have you noticed any effect that the arrival of the new president has had on South America? That Barack Obama has had any impact on South America so far?
Well, I would tell you that he was received with a lot of expectancy. And when we met him at the Summit of the Americas in Trinidad and Tobago in April or May, he spoke to us in a way we have been expecting for so long. Let's think in a more partnership relationship, and not the boss and the little kid or something like that to tell us everything. And he said, we're going to discuss issues, we're going to dialogue. Maybe we won't agree always, but we won't impose anything. And now we're seeing concrete results, because we just on Tuesday, we just launched this network for social protection in Latin America. And Hillary Clinton is very strongly working on that. And also President Obama is very interested in working together in energy, I mean, in all the problems that, and also in development issues. So we have a very good, I mean, from subjective point of view, we are very, we have a lot of hope that a new kind of relationship with the United States is possible. And of course, we'll continue. Well, I'm talking of Latin America. Chile, of course, has a very good relationship. We have been in official visit some months ago, and we're doing a lot of things together. So I think it was good news for Latin America that President Obama was in office.
Well, we'll end on the good news. President Bachelet, Michelle, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, David, and it has been a pleasure to be here. I haven't seen the movie yet, Frost Nixon, but I will as soon as I end my term.
Well, absolutely. Then you may have time, and I'll send you a DVD.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Michelle Bachelet there, described by Time magazine last year as the 15th most powerful person in the world. Next, the second in our trio of presidents, we'll be talking to Alvaro Uribe of Colombia after this break.